and welcome to a very special Tux Take. We are doing a baseball preview with my man, Nucci from Staten Island. How are you, Nucci? Nobody cares.
I'm good. I'm ready for baseball. I can't wait.
Yeah, it was touch and go for a little while. Didn't know if baseball was going to happen or not. But fortunately for us, fortunately for you at home, it is going to happen, which is pretty exciting. And we are going to go over the American League, the National League. We're going to pick World Series winners, division winners, and hopefully give you people at home a few options to where you want to put your money if you are looking to get in on the action. Let's start with the American League East. The Tampa Bay Rays were the class of that division last year. 100 wins last year, and then they won that division by 8 games.
They did.
What do you think about the Tampa Bay Rays this year?
I think they're still really, really good. Like I said, I told you off the air, they're playing chess when everyone else is playing checkers. They're a really good team. They have strong hitting, strong pitching across the board, great bullpen. They can.
Yeah, you mentioned chess as while everybody else is playing checkers. Tampa Bay over the last couple of years, they have employed an opener strategy where they don't necessarily need starters. They'll go once in a while with just a bullpen, like almost like pitching by committee.
A lot, and they'll bring in guys for long innings where they'll bring in a guy in the starter, but they'll actually put him in the second or third inning and run him through the sixth if they have to. Pretty much everyone in the bullpen throws 100 miles an hour. They're young, they're strong. They'll plug and play infielders and outfielders too. They've got 5 different outfielders. They've got 6 different infielders, guys that can play all over the diamond. So they'll mix and match. They'll platoon guys and whatever they need. They need a lefty, they need a righty. They'll just plug them in.
Yeah, they almost take a baseball approach, like thinking about football, specialized players in different spots, and it'll be interesting. 100 wins last year, obviously impressive. The market thinks they're going to be a little bit worse this year. Their over/under is 90.5.
Yeah,
where are you on this? And by the way, for everybody at home wondering, what I'm going to be doing with Nucci is we're going to ask him for his take on each team, but we're going to ask him over/under on the total. And then you're going to assign stars. 1 star means, okay, I'm leaning that way, but I'm not going to bet on it. 2 stars, a little bit more conviction, but I'm still not betting. 3, 4, and 5 stars, we are betting on those. 5 stars is obviously boop, 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 back up the truck, right? So where are we on the Rays?
Well, we're not going to back up anything on the Rays here because the market's pretty solidly right where the Rays should be. They're not really getting worse. It's that everyone else got better. The Rays didn't make any big additions other than Corey Kluber, who really just gives them depth at the back end. They have exciting young prospect Wander Franco, who they locked up long-term, and he's going to be great to watch. But with Toronto and the Yankees and the Red Sox all healthier, playing better, I think the Rays are a good bet to win 90 to 92 games. So I'm going to take the over, but I'm going to give it 1 star.
Okay, fair enough. There you go. Let's move on to the Boston Red Sox, my wife's team.
Boston, okay.
Yeah, well, the Boston Red Sox were they were in second place last year, 92 wins. And, they surprised many. Their run differential was plus 80, impressive, but not crazy, nothing like the Rays plus 206. They are at 84.5. So before we get to where you're leaning on that, what do we think about this Red Sox team?
So you wouldn't know it by last year, but the Red Sox are actually in a soft rebuild. They've got a couple of big free agents next year in Xander Bogaerts. I think JD Martinez contracted us up. They probably won't re-sign him. A couple of rookies coming in the outfield and infield positions. So their big free agent get was Trevor Story, but they didn't shore up their rotation at all. Big holes at starting rotation, big holes in the bullpen. I expect the Red Sox to regress pretty significantly in a very tough AL East.
Yeah, as I mentioned, the over/under on this is 84.5. Are we going under then in a tough AL East?
Again, this is, we're going to have some really nice bets later on, but with these couple teams that you're hitting me with at the beginning, I don't like this at all. I think the Red Sox are anywhere from an 84 to an 86 win team. So we're going to take the under with the Red Sox, but 1 star. I mean, I could see them winning 85, 86. I could see them winning 83, 84. So we're going to do,
so the market
do the under with 1 star.
Right. So what you're saying here is the market's got it right now. Exactly. 84.5. It seems right. The one thing that is interesting in a tough AL East, you can bet on the Red Sox to make the playoffs. Now you can bet on each team over at betrivers.com or PlaySugarHouse. to make the playoffs. You can bet on their totals, all sorts of bets over there. The Red Sox here are minus 122 to make the playoffs, minus 103 not to make the playoffs, which means they are favored to actually make the playoffs.
Sure.
And
I'm
based on what
strong
you're
against them.
saying,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's where the action is. Forget about the win total bet on this. But how about a no bet on making the playoffs at minus 103?
I think that's a really strong play. I don't think, even with the expanded playoffs, you're going to have 6 teams make it. I don't see the Red Sox coming close to winning the division. So that's 3 division winners. You got to get 3 wild cards. You've got the Yankees, the Rays, even the Twins who signed Correa. The Mariners are really improved. The Angels are a strange team. We'll talk about them later. So yeah, I like betting against the Red Sox to make the playoffs. I think that's a great bet.
Yeah, and the line is certainly, like I said, the market actually suggests they will make the playoffs. So you get a pretty good price for betting against that. Let's move on to your favorite team, the Yankees from
sure.
New York. True story. Growing up, I grew up in New York, and I grew up a Met fan. My dad was a diehard New York Giants fan. He realized very quickly that I was not going to cheer for the Giants, being a New York kid. But the only rule in my household was you can't cheer for the Yankees, and you're not going to live under my roof and cheer for the Yankees, not the hated Yankees. So I will leave it at that. Anyway, let's get into the Yankees. 92 wins last year.
Yeah.
A run differential of only plus 42, though.
Right.
And I mean, first off, before we get into the Yankees, what do you think about run differential? Because I do think sometimes in other sports, that can be an indicator, like in hockey, which is something I'm near and dear to my heart. If you see a team at minus 21 goal differential, but somehow they're getting wins, I can tell you that the wins are probably not sustainable, that they're going to start losing games, or something's going to change. Is that the same story in baseball, or not really?
Somewhat. The thing about run differential in baseball, when you have a large run differential like your 200, then clearly that team is hitting with runners in scoring position and getting pitching. So it's a big indicator that they're all around doing well and succeeding. Low run differential can be one of 2 things: either they're not pitching well or they're not driving in runs, which is definitely a problem because it's always tough to win close games. But the thing about baseball is if you've got a solid bullpen, a top closer, you can have a close run differential and still be a great team. It's just hard to win against your pitching. So it's not as huge an indicator in, say, hockey, but it usually indicates that if you've got a big run differential, your team's really good.
I'm just wondering if it's sustainable. I mean, over 162 game season, if your run differential is not over 100, are you going to be able to win these games?
You are, because keep in mind that just means you might be winning games 3-2 instead of 5-2. And obviously that means you've got a good bullpen probably.
Right, and a good closer. Okay, well, let's get into the Yankees here. They had some injury issues. They definitely underperformed last year from a run producing standpoint. Their win total is 91.5. Where do we see them?
So with the Yankees, they shored up their defense. They kind of got rid of Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela, and brought in Josh Donaldson, re-signed Anthony Rizzo. Their fans, myself included, wanted them to make them a big splash, get a Freddie Freeman, a Carlos Correa. They didn't do that. They decided they're going to go, small ball in that percent as far as free agent goes, and bring in guys that made more sense to their philosophy rather than a big splash. So they can still hit. They've still got big stars up and down the lineup. They've got Garrett Cole. They didn't address the rotation, so I question the overall depth of the rotation. It has to stay healthy. If it doesn't, they're going to have problems. They've got a solid bullpen and a decent bench. They're going to win some ball games. I think the Yankees are a good bet to win 93 to 95 games, so we're going to take the over there. Probably put around 3 stars on it.
3 stars on the over. So we are betting on the over 91.5 wins.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Toronto Blue Jays. Our friends from the North, they were 91-71 last year. A run differential of plus 183. How are the Blue Jays had made some acquisitions in the offseason. What do we think about the Toronto Blue Jays?
Well, now you're going to back up that truck you were talking about earlier, because this team is loaded. Now, their acquisitions, you could argue they weren't as big a splash because they lost Marcus Semien, who was their second baseman, and they lost their everyday, their Cy Young Award winner, their ace, Robbie Ray. They brought in some pretty smart moves, though. They brought in Kevin Gausman from San Francisco. He's not as flashy as Ray, but he's solid. They brought in Matt Chapman, who will help. He's better defensively than Semien. might not hit for his high and average, but he's going to hit in that lineup. But their overall team is just getting better. They've got young players coming up who are going to slot into the lineup and mash. They're going to get a full season from Jose Barrios. They made a couple of nice pickups as well. And Nucci, healthy bullpen, which was hurt last year, a healthy George Springer, who was hurt last year at the beginning of the season. So overall, this team is basically a juggernaut. We're not only taking the over, this team is going to be hard pressed to not win 100 games. So you're
the market. By the way, the sharp money is on the over. So the Toronto Blue Jays win total opened at 91.5, and I know you and I have already put some money on that over. Nucci, by the way, is the entire reason. I mean, I love sports betting and I love getting in on the action. But when it comes to baseball, he is my guy, and he's the guy I go to. And we've had 3 winning seasons in a row solely because of that man right there. So we're going to go with him. But the Sharps agree with you because the Blue Jays were 91.5. Their win total is inched up to 92.5. I'm assuming you still like the over even at 92.5.
Love it, but I love it. I always take the extra win if you can get it. I loved it at 91.5. I still love it at 92.5 because, as I said, I think they're going to win 100. But lock that in now if you're going to lock it in, because it's literally, in my opinion, a license to print money. It's free money. Just take it now.
Free money. Who doesn't like free money, right? I'm all over free money. Okay, well, we talked about 4 teams in the American League East that are going to do a lot of winning, which means there's going to be a team in there that's going to do a lot of losing. So let's turn to the Baltimore Orioles. You and I have made a lot of money on the Baltimore Orioles over the last couple of years, betting on the under. They have been historically bad. If you look at their record over the last 4 seasons or so, I mean, it's embarrassing in Baltimore right now.
Still is. They're not spending money.
Well, there you go. What's going on there? How bad are they going to be? And their win total right now is at 61.5. It's actually inched up. It wasn't 60.5. So people are thinking this team might win some games. This is a team, by the way, that only won 52 games last year.
Yeah.
They haven't broken 60 wins. I don't even know, what, in a decade, maybe?
Like
it's
5
ridiculous.
years, I think. It's been 5 or 6 years.
I mean, I'm exaggerating, but only slightly.
Yeah.
It has been a while since this team has had 60 wins and not lost 100. So what
So a couple of things with the Orioles. They're going to lose a lot of games. They're going to lose 100 games, more likely than not. This is the year you stay away from the Orioles, and I'll tell you why. The previous years we've been making money off them, they've had nobody, and they still have nobody, at least no pitching. But their young players that they've been accumulating are finally starting to reach the major league level. Doesn't equate into wins, but it's enough to back me off a little bit. You've got Ryan Mountcastle, you've got Austin Hayes. Now you're going to be adding this year Adley Rutschman, an all-world catcher, and top pitching prospect in Grayson Rodriguez. Do I think they're going to emerge this year? Not exactly. Do I think they're going to win 65 games? Nope. But it's enough of a wild card for me to back off the Orioles. You put a gun to my head, I'm going to give you the under at 2 stars. But I don't love it.
So this is not a game we're going to be betting on. Before we turn our attention to the American League Central, let's just look at the division as a whole. Toronto Blue Jays are the favorite to win this one at plus 185. The Rays are at plus 200. Yankees are at plus 240. Based on what you're saying, it sounds like your money's on the Blue Jays.
My money's on the Blue Jays. I mean, you want to get cute and take the Yankees or the Rays. You're not making enough profit in my mind against the Blue Jays to justify it. So I'm just going Blue Jays all the way there.